why does it seem like people don't know how to resolve conflict between each other in politics and government and business and relationships and friendships? Is it so hard for people to have a different opinion and resolve conflict peacefully?
There's a few reasons. The most basic reason is we lack the skills. How can you expect somebody to swim if you don't teach them how to swim? Right? You can't just throw them in a pool and be like, why can't you swim? What the right? Well, you can't throw somebody into conflict and expect them to know how to resolve it if you haven't taught them how to resolve conflict.
How do we resolve conflict?
There are many ways. Listening is core. You can't resolve conflict until you know how to actively listen. That's a skill. My girlfriend and I, early in the relationship, we sort of had a conversation about conflict, and we kind of made a deal that we would always fight to get to resolution, and we would always try and set it up that it was me and her versus the problem, not me versus her. And when you have that in your mind, you still get upset, you still get frustrated, you still get angry, you still sometimes are not your best self and lash out and say things you regret and all of the stuff that happens in any kind of conflict. But at some point, whether at the beginning or the middle of the fight, one of the parties will remind the other one, it's not versus you, it's versus that.
Yeah.
Or let us fight to get to resolution. And as a result, you start finding yourself doing things that you didn't expect. So we were having a fight, and the fight went something like this. Here's what I did wrong. Here's what I did right, and here's what you did wrong. To which her response was, well, here's what I did right, and here's what you did wrong. To which my response, well, here's 2 things I did right, and 3 things you did wrong.
It's a one-upping each other.
And it's just going backwards and forwards. And then I literally interrupted. I said, okay, this is clearly going to go nowhere. New rules. We're going to have new rules for this fight. The rule is, I'm going to tell you things I did wrong and the things you did right, and I'll go first, and then it's going to be your turn. Okay?
That's cool.
So I'm going first. Here's what I got wrong, and here's what you got right. She goes, yeah, well, here's what I got wrong, and here's what you got right. And we realized very, very quickly that we were both trying, and we both had good intentions. And it resolves really quick.
I really like that approach of saying if you're having a conflict with someone, specifically an intimate relationship, you must come to the table with, here's what I did wrong, or here's what I did that I could improve on, and here's what you did well. I really like that approach of starting.
I don't think you want to start there, because you want to vent, you want to feel heard.
But I think
it does teach you accountability.
When you create the space, though, like, hey, I'm feeling a conflict. There's something that hurt me.
Yeah.
There's something that's upsetting me.
Yeah.
But let me show you where I can take the responsibility and where I take the responsibility and things that you're doing really well in the relationship.
Yeah. I mean, yes-ish. Because usually when there's a fight, it's because one person feels unseen, unheard, or misunderstood. And so you need to be able to get that out, because just game out the scenario. Like, hey, I wanted to tell you, I want to resolve a conflict with you. Let me tell you what I did wrong first. And the other person will be like, all right.
Sure. Yeah.
You're an idiot. You're not. So you have to, the person who's on the receiving end of the communication needs the skill of listening to ensure that the other person feels seen, heard, or understood.
Yeah.
As quickly as possible.
I feel like the biggest mistake I made in all my previous relationships is I never had agreements while dating the people I was with. And I'm not married yet, so caveat, I'm not married, no kids, none of those things that people say when you wait till you're married 10 years and do you have kids, and then it's harder, and marriage isn't easy and life is really hard. And yes, I understand those things. But relationships were hard for me, and I wasn't married before.
What is easy? Marriage isn't easy. Relationships aren't easy. I don't think being single is easy.
Exactly.
Like
being healthy is hard.
I'd like when people say it's not easy. I'd like one thing in life that is easy. Even lying in bed all day, you still have to go make coffee, bring it back to bed. I said,
it's like, what price do you want to pay? Do you want to pay the price now and have more pleasure later, or have pleasure now and pay the price later?
But I think that's sort of a very good way of looking at life, which is there's a cost for everything.
100%.
There's nothing for free. And I think we forget that. We look at other people's lives and be like, oh my God, I want their life. I'm like, whoa. If you're willing to pay the cost that they paid, then go and pursue that life. There's sacrifices in every direction.
Yes.
Some people choose to sacrifice their family for their careers. Some people choose to sacrifice their careers for their families. Not right or wrong or good or bad. They're just different prices to be paid. And for some people, this price is worth it. And for some people, that price is worth it. I know when I discovered the concept of why, and I decided I wanted to spread this message and spread this gospel of a new way of looking at business and a new way of understanding the world around us, I was fully aware that at the time, the way to do that, this is sort of pre-social media. Social media was still a baby. The best way for me to do it was to be on the road and give talks.
Yeah.
And the sacrifice was my personal life. A lot of exhaustion, a lot of traveling, a lot of jet lag, very little time at home, no time for relationships, missed my friends. And it was worth it for a time. I made the deal with myself. Like, it was eyes wide open. I believed in this thing so much that this loss, this sacrifice was worth it. And like there's the whole debate. You must never quit. You have to have grit. It's like you have to know when to quit. But like, when's the right time to quit? And this whole idea of quitting versus not quitting and grit versus not grit, it's the wrong conversation.
Interesting.
It's completely the wrong conversation.
What's the conversation we should be having?
When the sacrifice no longer feels worth it, that's when you decide to change directions or to leave whatever it is you're doing. And, because the sacrifice has to feel worth it. However you want to weigh that cost, whether it's money, time, relationships, health, however you want to weigh it, sleep, right? However you want to weigh it. If it feels worth it for the benefit that you're deriving or the impact you're making, then you stick with it. That's the grit part. But when the sacrifice no longer feels worth it, then it's time to reconsider.
It seems like the biggest sacrifice most humans are making today is a sacrifice of not having friends for success, for career, for greatness, for whatever it is. People pursuing something so passionately, for writing their books, for creating their business, whatever it might be. It's like, well, I'm going to commit for this decade or 2 decades to being the best I can be.
Yeah. At the
and
sacrifice
have
of
grit,
friends.
and at the sacrifice of friends.
All right. Well, that one's different, because that not a single person, when they achieve the thing that they achieve, will ever say that was worth it. None. Zero. I've talked to so many people who decided grades, career, money. I don't need friends. I just need people who can help me achieve my goals. And the result is loneliness.
Yes.
Look at, this as an athlete, right? Look at Olympians, right? Especially individual sports, individual athletes. Team sports, it's not really the same thing. Which is, they have a dream when they're fairly young, and their dream is to, and you know how they put it, win the Olympics. Nobody wins the Olympics, right? That's how I'm going to win the Olympics, right? And every relationship they have is, can you help me? Are you going to help me? And individual athletes, tennis players, they're very similar. Like, every relationship they have is, are you going to benefit my dream? And if not, then I have no space for you. And they don't really have friendships. They have transactional relationships, coaches, support
Trainers.
Yes. A supportive parent, and some of them will get to the Olympics and some of them might even medal. And when it's time to retire, what they achieve is loneliness. Michael Phelps becomes the most medaled Olympian in history. What's the immediate result?
Depression.
Depression.
Yeah.
Andre Agassi becomes the most celebrated tennis player of all time. What's the immediate result? Loneliness, depression. And none of them will look back and say, oh my God, I think that was worth it. The thing you're celebrated for is fleeting.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe, and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.